Hi again. In this video, we're going to be looking at Kotter's 8-step change model, and this is going to form the basis of your activity for this week. What I want you to do is to think of the change that you want to see as a result of your research project and apply a strategy using Kotter's 8 steps. Develop a strategy to see that change through, to lead that change. Okay, so I'm going to go through the 8 steps now, and then I'm going to leave you with the activity. There's an article in the Moodle that will help you with this project, so you've got some extra reading to do to back you up. The first step, says Kotter, is to create a sense of urgency. This is to create the need, to find the need. What are we going to do in our research project that benefits mankind, if you like, or at least your field of study? There are different ways that we can practice this. One is to simplify our research project and try and express it in 6 words, like Ernest Hemingway's famous 6-word narratives, just to see if we can find out what we are doing, who and why we are doing this research, who's going to benefit, why are they going to benefit. Okay, the next step, says Kotter, is to form a coalition, and this is to recognize and articulate, if you like, the allies or people who can help us in order to carry out our change project, and in your case the research project. Who is going to help you? Who do you need on your team, in your coalition, in your mafia, if you like, to carry out this change project? The third step for Kotter is to create a vision for the change, is to imagine what this will look like. This is what will be the result of our project, of our investigation. Now, for some of you who are in the health sciences, for example, or maybe in engineering or in the pure sciences, it's easier to see what the result will look like. For those of us from humanities or from the arts, it's a little bit more complicated, but there must be somebody somewhere who is going to benefit from our research. There is an audience always for our work. What will the change signify to them? We need to specify the vision, if you like, for that change. And once we've done that, we're going to need to develop a communication plan. Kotter says, think how much you need to communicate an idea for a change to happen, and then multiply that communication plan by 10. The more you communicate, the easier it's going to be to carry through your change. Okay, so how are you going to communicate it? What means are you going to use to communicate? What are the channels that you have to communicate the change that's going to result from your research project? What are the obstacles in our way? There's always barriers, as we're going to see next week when we look at the whole question of motivation. Part of the job of leaders, the job of managers, the work, if you like, the skills, the competencies in the 21st century is moving the obstacles, is clearing the path. What are the obstacles that are hindering us at the moment, and how can we begin to remove those obstacles? This is something that we're going to continue working on in the future. So for this week, just recognizing those obstacles is possibly good enough. The next step is to imagine the milestones. What are the steps that we need to go through? What are the stages of our project? How can we create these short-term wins, these small wins, as Teresa Amabile and Steve Kramer call them, the short wins, the small wins. Motivation, as we're going to see next week, is really the easiest when we have the sense of progress in meaningful work. Now, a doctorate, we imagine, has meaning for you. If not, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. So this is meaningful work, but we can lose that motivation if we don't have the sense of making progress. And one of the ways that we can see that progress is by acknowledging, recognizing, and fixing the milestones of our project. What are your milestones? And let's articulate them. Let's put them in writing. That's your next step. Here's the penultimate step here is to build on the change. How are you going to examine the wins? How are you going to examine the milestones? Are you going to have a system of checking the feedback and seeing how you can improve in the next step? If the introduction, if the literature review has caused problems, where have those problems come from, and how can we change our working pattern for the next milestone, for the next step? And this allows us to institutionalize, if you like, the change, and this will help us to anchor the change. So really, these are the steps that I want you to put in writing as briefly as possible. Don't go and spend too many hours or too much time working on this. There's an article about this. Now, for most of you, the serious work is going to come in the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, possibly 6 steps of this change model. The latter steps are a little bit more complicated because we haven't really got that far in our research project. But that's the task for this week. It's obligatory. We have to do it because this is pretty much an asynchronous learning experience, and really the only way that we know that you're participating is if you do the activities and upload the result of your work to the Padlet for chapter 1 of the course. Now, in the course there is a plantilla in English framework for this change model. And what I'd like you to do, you can do it on the computer, you can do it by hand, you can do it by electric pencil, e-pencil, you can do it on a piece of paper and take a photo and upload it, but do upload it to the Padlet for chapter 1 of this course. And please make sure to sign your work. It's very complicated to know who's doing what if you don't put your name on it. The Padlet is open, so everybody can see it. Everybody on this course can see it. Nobody else outside of this course is going to see your work. So be careful not to put anything too secret, or if there are any patents you've got pending, don't give us too much information. But do sign your work and do upload it to the Padlet. Why the Padlet? Well, because learning online is sometimes a very lonely experience, and it is good to see and to learn from the work of others. I believe that learning is a social activity, and it's much easier to do if we can see the results of the work of our colleagues. So there we go. Design, whoops, there's a spelling mistake there. Design an 8-step change strategy for your project work. Upload the result of your work to the Padlet for chapter 1 of the course. Okay. See you soon.